So since I was a very young child, I was brought up with dance music, what you would consider like B96 dance music in the early 90s. I don't know if you know B96, whatever. Just like LaBouche, Ace of Base, that kind of stuff. Like early, I don't know about that. Like early 90s, just pop dance music. And so I would wake up every morning to go to school, and my two older sisters would be blaring that shit in the next room over. And then I started getting into hip hop when I was in like 4th or 5th grade. You know, it's what my friends were listening to: Crucial Conflict, Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know, even like R&B stuff like TLC, pop music at the time. And I started noticing these patterns in music. I was never into anything musical, like my parents never put me into anything musical when I was a child or what have you. So I had really no knowledge of music other than just these concepts that I was extracting from what I was hearing. And so I started, one day I was listening to Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise in my mom's car while driving around. And I flipped the station and it went to like a random part in the song. But I knew instantly, even though the whole song, the background was made of loops and Coolio wasn't rapping at the moment, I knew exactly where it was in the track. Not because I had heard it so many times, but because I was picking up on these patterns in the music that I had picked up on previously in music like Ace of Base and LaBouche and whatnot. And so I was like, whoa, the same patterns are in hip-hop music that I'm listening to now as they were in dance music as my sisters were listening to when I was younger. And so I started looking a little bit into music, but mostly just trying to extract these theories. And so I'm gonna start talking, that's just a little bit about my history and, you know, kind of how I started getting into musicality. When I first started dancing, it wasn't even like trying to learn the moves so much, it was trying to get the moves to music. You know, people always ask me, you know, why do you dance? And the answer is always the same, it's because music moves me. Like, if a track's on and I don't like the track, I'm not gonna be dancing to the track. Like, that's just flat out. That's just how it is, because the music isn't moving me, so I should not be moving to the music. That's just me, though. So anyways, so I've always felt very, very attached to music with dancing, or I was DJing for a while and what have you. I've always had this special attachment to music that I think a lot of you people probably have too. You know, it's probably a big reason why you dance. You like music, you know. It's pretty simple. But I want to talk about a few things. I see a lot of other dances. I see dances like popping, I see dances like locking, I see dances like tap and swing dance that I look at and I instantly see a connection between a footwork move and a piece of the rhythm, or a hit and a piece of the rhythm, or, you know, some kind of motion. I can instantly see a connection to the music. But with liquid, a lot of times I can't see that in people. And I think, like, what is it that these other dances have that we're, as a culture, not catching on to? And one big thing I think is that personally I'm just a rhythmic person, and it's my opinion that dancing is more a melody focused dance. It's more tempo driven than rhythm driven, and maybe that's just me because I always look to rhythm, and I think liquid just tends to focus more towards melody naturally. Not to say you can't do liquid rhythmically, which I think is a big thing in what Eric does. And that's why. Yeah, you can. You can.
To that, with most of the dances, you know, like popping, it's the hit, you know, the hit.
Yeah,
right?
the clap.
With electronic music, it's not so much the beat each, but as it spans out, it's the tempo of the beat. It's not so much you can't do every beat because some of it's fast.
Yeah.
So how I developed how to stay on beat was speed control. Because it's not about the individual beat, it's about the tempo of the beat.
Tempo of the beat, exactly.
So that's how I control my liquid, to a tempo rather than individual beats. And that's why it flows with the music. And it's not, because if you're boom, 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 it doesn't flow.
Yep,
you know
it doesn't flow, it
boom,
stops.
Boom, 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 boom,
Yep.
boom,
Speed.
boom, 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 boom. You know, it's the flow to the music, the whole thing. Because even with breaks, you know, like, even when they took that and put it into freaking electronic music and the new school breaks, even the breaks melted together into a tempo because you couldn't get every break. You know, everything melts together and it becomes about the tempo, not the beat. Where popping, I mean, the music for the most part is predictable. I don't know a better word.
I'm gonna talk about
like,
that.
You know what's coming.
Yep.
Where the same thing with friggin' electronic music, you know that the tempo of the song. Once the song starts, it pretty much has the same tempo.
Yep.
So you know where it's going to go. But then that's where, you know, the creativity, I think, comes where the stuff that's going on in the background, you know, the
Talk about that as well.
and the melodies and the vocals and the, you know, and that's why, you know, I really try to keep my feet and my liquid in time, where my feet are kind of keeping the beat and my liquid is keeping the tempo.
Yep, I get you.
Of the song.
Yep.
They're not fighting for position.
Yep.
In regards to the dance. It's a harmony. And I come up with moves that I just throw away because I cannot find a way to get them to fit together. It's like trying to, like, you know, you're putting together a puzzle and it's like, well, this almost fits if I cut that off and put that in there. Hey, it works. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. And I just don't sacrifice the flow for moves.
Yep.
Moves will come. Just do your flow and it'll sort of lead you where you want to go with it. I'm trying to put it like, because I know the way liquid is for me, and it's different for everybody who does it. Everybody's mind and the way they think is how their liquid's going to come out. So Jared thinks of it completely different. I know you think completely different. I know people who I've taught, and they're doing stuff. I was like, what are you thinking about right now? And they'll explain it to me, and I'll be like, I don't get that at all. But that's not my place to get it. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to take it, internalize it, how your mind works. You can tell if somebody's really like analytical, like, you know, like Matt, very analytical. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell how his mind sort of works. Right? With me, I'm more of a free spirit. I got the big liquid, it goes around.
Can I just ask about what this has to do with musicality, though?
Well, musicality in the regards to liquid, because that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
And trying to, I guess, give perspective.
Cool.
For the different ones, for like the difference between the like how the count works with the body, or how the body works with the count, or how to pull out the different melodies from the song, or how that relates to
Basically,
the world.
you see people, for the most part, and you know, it's like they're trying to, how do, you know, it makes perfect sense in my head, but how do you explain it?
Maybe as I go through, I'll spark something.
All right, shut up. I get it.
All right, so Eric mentioned something about dance music or electronic music or funk music being predictable. And to me, all music is predictable because music is based on math. And once you break it down mathematically and you understand it that way, all music becomes predictable. If it wasn't predictable, it'd just be fucking random. It would be random sound. I guess maybe you could think of like some kinds of jazz as unpredictable, perhaps, but let's stick with electronic music for now, and let me say that I listen to IDM, I listen to breakcore, and it has 1,000 sounds going on at one time, and I understand where all of them are coming from and when they're going to change because it's all based on math. So let's talk about hip-hop for a moment. Think about you're out in the club, right? You're up in the club, and you have a hip hop at a certain tempo. It's between like 87 to 90 BPM. So you have this right here, right? You have funk music. It's about 80 to 85 BPM. Notice it's slow. It's less than 100 BPM. Electronic music, except I think probably maybe some kinds of IDM, down tempo, maybe ambient, it's all above 100 BPM. So it's house music, dubstep, or drum and bass. Okay, that's really fast motion. It's predictable, but it's really fast. So I think people get caught up in the speed and that, like, man, if this was just slower, I could kind of understand it, dance to a little better. Like, you go to a club and you see, like, let's say you're back up in the club and you got some hip hop beats going, and then, man, drum and bass comes in, just what happens to all the girls on the dance floor, all the guys crying on the girls is like, what the fuck just happened to the music? It's way too fast. I don't like to dance to this, but realistically, hip hop at 87 BPM is exactly half of drum and bass at 175 BPM. So really, boom, jack, boom, jack, boom, jack is boom, jack, boom, jack, boom, jack. Same thing as hip hop music. So maybe that helps me a lot when I dance is when you're dancing to electronic music that's above 100 BPM, which is pretty much everything. Let's start with house music, it's 120 BPM. We go up from there. So think of it in half time. Maybe you can keep up with house music because it's a little closer to that 100 BPM marker, and 60 is just kind of like, 60 is pretty slow when it comes to music and dancing in general. 60 is gonna put you to sleep. But once you hit that 70 mark, which is dubstep, fidget house, breaks, as Eric mentioned, which is really 140 BPM, maybe just cut it back. Don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do 1, 3, 1, 3, or 2, 4, 2, 4. It'll help you slow your dance down. You know, I think everyone, mostly, we always say this to beginners, but you know, even advanced people, they always get caught up in it, trying to dance a million miles an hour, you know? You dance to drum and bass and you're like, man, you know, you're doing this, and it's like, it's 175 beats per minute. You want to be dancing fast, but you may be losing people, you may be losing yourself, you may be losing the illusion. So break it down into half that speed, and that's going to help you present a cleaner illusion when you're doing it slower. It's going to help you focus on everything. It's going to help people watch you because you're not going a million miles an hour. Don't think just because the music is fast you have to dance super fast. You can break that down in half, or if music is slow, you can get tricky with it and double time it, like locking, double time. It's funk music. I just said it's 80 BPM. Why are you dancing like this? It's because you're double timing it up to 160 BPM, which, you know, for locking seems to work out for some people. Some people keep it at halftime. But a really cool thing is switching between the two, going from halftime to single time to double time. That's where you get tricky with the musicality. And you can find your level of comfort in a track by using halftime, single time, double time. Something to keep in mind. Next. I had mentioned predictability in dance. There is a concept in music called the time signature. I'm not going to go over it all. I'm just going to go over the very specific time signature that almost every single electronic music track uses, which is called 4/4. It's a 4/4 time signature. So let me just throw a track on, and it's a pretty simple track. It's IDM music, but it kind of sounds like house. I actually don't have any house on my laptop, so we're not going to go there. So we have this. I'm going to wait for the next one to come in. Do I know the song was going to change because I've heard it before, or because it mathematically worked out to change that way?
You're pointing out phrasing.
Phrasing, yes, phrasing. So you have a 4-bar phrase. So you have, I'm counting out these 4 pieces, and when I hit 4 of them, it changes, all right? So it's something to keep in mind. So you may think like, yeah, well, that's house music. It's simple, you know? What about crazy shit like drum and bass, you know? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with drum and bass. It's the same thing with breaks. I'm gonna demonstrate by using a much more, in my opinion, complicated track, but really it's the same thing. I'm gonna show you how it goes. Roll it out. Anybody like breakcore in here? All right, we're gonna wait for it to drop, and we're gonna count it off, and I'll show you where it changes. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just throw the track into craziness and just let you get a judge for yourself. Like, there's shit going on in there, you know? There's a lot of pieces to that track, you know? There's a lot of layers going on. There's a lot of craziness. And, you know, I'm driving in my car with somebody and